The smell of roasted turkey filled Mom's dining room, but I couldn't taste anything. My sister Rachel stood at the head of the table, champagne glass raised, announcing the sale of my mountain cabin like she'd won the lottery. Our parents beamed. Her husband recorded the moment on his phone. My nephew asked if Aunt Rachel would buy him the new gaming console now. The buyers are from California, Rachel continued, scrolling through her phone. Tech money. They didn't even negotiate. Full asking price, $890,000 all cash deal. She showed everyone the contract on her screen. Signed. Executed. Bill. I set down my fork carefully. The ceramic made a soft click against Mom's good china. That's my cabin. Rachel's smile didn't falter. Dad's cabin. And he left it to both of us. He left it to me in the trust. The trust that doesn't exist anymore. Rachel's voice had that patient, explaining to a child quality I'd learned to hate over 37 years. Mom had it dissolved after Dad died. She told you this. I looked at Mom. She was cutting her turkey into precise small pieces, not meeting my eyes. The gambler's fallacy, I thought. I'd kept believing that if I just stayed calm enough, reasonable enough, eventually someone in this family would choose truth over convenience. The odds never improve. The slot machine doesn't care how long you've been playing. The trust is irrevocable, I said quietly. Rachel laughed. The sound was bright, dismissive, designed for the audience around the table. Sweetie, you're confused again. This is like that time you thought you owned the lake house. Remember? Dad cleared that up. 15 people watched me. Aunts, uncles, cousins who drove 3 hours for Thanksgiving. All of them seeing difficult Emma, dramatic Emma. Emma who makes things awkward. I'd spent 2 years planning what I'd do when this moment came. The answer turned out to be, sit very still and let the systems I'd put in place do their work. Closing is Friday, Rachel continued, turning back to the table. I already have the kitchen remodel scheduled. Granite countertops, the whole 9 yards. The contractor starts Monday. She showed photos of expensive stone samples. Everyone leaned in to look. My phone vibrated. A text from Sandra Whitmore, the title insurance underwriter I'd worked with when Dad set up the trust in 2019. I'd called her 3 weeks ago when I first heard Rachel was listing the cabin. Sandra, just reviewed the file. Making the call now. Are you ready? I texted back, ready. 2 minutes later, Rachel's phone rang. She glanced at the screen, frowned slightly, then answered. Hello? Yes, this is Rachel Morrison. Her expression shifted as she listened. Confusion, then irritation, then something harder. That's impossible. My lawyer reviewed everything. Pause. No, you must be looking at the wrong. Longer pause. Her face went pale. I'll need to call you back. She lowered the phone slowly. The dining room had gone quiet. Even the kids stopped talking. Problem? Dad's brother, Uncle Jim asked. The title company. Rachel's voice was different now. Smaller. They said there's an issue with the cabin deed. What kind of issue? Mom's fork had stopped moving. They said it's in a trust. An irrevocable trust. In Emma's name. Rachel looked at me across the table. Behind the shock, I saw calculations starting. That's not possible. We had this checked. Our lawyer said. My phone rang. I answered on speakerphone, my hand steady. This is Emma. Miss Emma Whitfield? Sandra's voice was professional, clear, designed to carry across a room. This is Sandra Whitmore, senior underwriter at Mountain West Title Insurance. I'm calling regarding the property at 4721 Clearwater Ridge Road. Yes, Sandra. I'm at Thanksgiving dinner with my family. You're on speaker. Perfect. I want to inform you that we've halted a fraudulent property transaction involving your mountain cabin. Your sister Rachel Morrison attempted to sell property held in your irrevocable trust, established by your late father in 2019. The sale cannot proceed. We've notified the buyers, the real estate broker, and will be filing a formal fraud report with the county. The silence in the dining room was total. I could hear the kitchen clock ticking. Someone's child dropped a fork. Thank you, Sandra, I said. Can you explain for my family what an irrevocable trust means? Certainly. Sandra's voice was crisp, factual. An irrevocable trust cannot be modified or terminated without the beneficiary's permission. Your father, Robert Whitfield, established the trust on March 15, 2019, placing the mountain cabin at Clearwater Ridge in trust for you specifically. I have the recorded documents here. Notarized. Filed with the county. The trust is valid and enforceable. Your sister had no legal authority to sell this property. Rachel stood abruptly. Her chair scraped against hardwood. This is insane. Dad wouldn't have. I have your father's signature on my screen, Sandra interrupted. Witnessed by myself and attorney Michael Chin. The document explicitly states, quote, "This property is for Emma alone. She understands what I built here. Does anyone need me to email the trust documents?" "Yes," I said. "Send them to everyone at this table." 30 seconds later, phones around the table started buzzing. I watched faces change as people opened the PDF. The trust document was 12 pages. Explicit. And ambiguous. Uncle Jim looked up from his phone. "Jesus, Rachel. Did you know about this?" "I thought it was dissolved." Rachel's voice had gone sharp, defensive. "Mom said." "I never said that," Mom interrupted quietly. She was staring at her plate. "You assumed." "I didn't correct you." The room fractured. Multiple conversations erupted at once. Rachel's husband demanding to know about the kitchen deposit. Uncle Jim asking how this happened. My aunt asking if Rachel's lawyer had actually reviewed the title. I stood up and walked outside. The deck was cold. November air in Colorado carries a bite that goes straight through sweaters. I sat on the steps Dad built 15 years ago and let myself feel it all for the first time. The moment he'd asked me to meet him at the lawyer's office. March 2019. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer diagnosis had come 3 weeks earlier. 6 months to live, they'd said. He'd made it 8. "I'm putting the cabin in trust for you," he told me. The office smelled like old books and furniture polish. Sandra and attorney Chin sat across from us. "Your mother will need the house in town. Rachel's getting my life insurance. But the cabin? That's you." "Why?" I'd asked. Dad had taken a long time answering. When he spoke, his voice was rough. "Because you're the one who showed up. Every chemo appointment. Every bad day. Your sister sent cards. Your mother cried but wouldn't come to treatments. Said it was too hard watching me decline. You were there. Always. You didn't post about it on Facebook for sympathy. You didn't tell everyone at church how difficult it was. You just showed up." He'd signed the papers. Made it irrevocable. Told me not to mention it to the family yet. He'd handle that conversation. The cancer moved fast. He died before he had the talk. I'd found his letter to me tucked in the trust papers after the funeral. "They'll tell you I forgot. They'll say I meant to change this. Don't believe them. I knew exactly what I was doing. The cabin is yours. You earned it." Sitting on those cold steps, I thought about the ghost ledger I'd been keeping for 2 years since Dad died. Not financial, something deeper. The ghost ledger. Entry. Mom's first cancer appointment with Dad. Cost, hope that she'd step up. Status, never refunded. Entry. Rachel's promise to visit Dad during hospital stay. Actual 3 texts, 0 visits. Cost, trust in her word. Status, permanently withdrawn. Entry. Family meeting after funeral when Mom said, "We'll figure out assets together." Actual. Rachel had already hired a state lawyer, was dividing things before I arrived. Cost, belief in family fairness. Status, account closed. Entry. 2 years of Emma's confused about the cabin. Actual, I was never confused, just outnumbered. Cost, self-trust nearly recovered through documentation. Status, balance restored today. Entry. $40,000 kitchen remodel paid from money Rachel didn't have. Actual, she spent proceeds from theft before it cleared. Cost, my sympathy for her financial problems. Status, debt void. The ledger wasn't about making them pay. It was about understanding the true cost of staying in systems designed to extract from you. Some people aren't capable of care. Accepting that is survival. The door opened behind me. Uncle Jim came out, closing it softly. "I didn't know," he said. He sat down next to me on the cold steps. "About the trust. About any of this. I know. Rachel's in there melting down. The buyers are threatening legal action. The remodeling contractor wants his deposit back. Apparently she can't return it because she already spent it on materials. Your mom is crying." I said nothing. "Your dad talked to me," Uncle Jim continued. 2 weeks before he died. He said he was worried about you. Said you'd been taking care of him alone and he was afraid the family would punish you for it after he was gone. I didn't understand what he meant then. Do you understand now? Yeah. He was quiet for a moment. He was protecting you. The irrevocable trust, he knew they'd try this. He knew exactly what they were. I looked at the mountains, dark shapes against the darker sky. He spent 30 years married to Mom. 40 years watching Rachel operate. He wasn't protecting me from strangers. He was protecting me from them. Uncle Jim pulled out his phone. I'm texting you something. My phone buzzed. That's my lawyer's number. He specializes in fraud and real estate. No charge. I'm paying. You need to go after Rachel for this. Procedural justice. The systematic unwinding. The next morning I met with attorney David Park in his Denver office. Uncle Jim came with me. We laid out everything. The trust documents, Rachel's listing, the signed purchase agreement, the contractor deposits, the text messages where Rachel had explicitly told me, the cabin's not yours anymore. David reviewed the materials for 40 minutes in silence. Then he looked up. This is textbook fraud. Your sister forged documents to claim ownership of property she knew she didn't own. He turned his screen around to show me. She submitted a notarized affidavit to the real estate broker stating she was the sole owner. That's a felony. The legal process unfolded with mechanical precision. Step 1. Evidence preservation, November 26 to 27th. David filed an emergency motion to preserve all documents. The listing was taken down. The sales contract was voided. The buyers were officially notified the seller lacked legal authority. Rachel's text messages, emails, and social media posts about my mountain cabin were archived. Step 2. Fraud report filing, November 29th. The title company filed formal reports with the county district attorney, real estate commission, and state attorney general. Each report detailed the fraudulent conveyance attempt. Rachel's real estate attorney received copies. Step 3. Financial investigation, December 1st to 15th. Forensic accountant traced Rachel's spending. $40,000 to contractor, $25,000 to credit cards, $18,000 to her husband's business loan, $12,000 to new furniture. Total, $95,000 spent from an $890,000 sale that never belonged to her. Step 4. Buyer response, December 3rd. California buyers filed lawsuit against Rachel and her broker for fraudulent misrepresentation. They'd spent $45,000 on due diligence, movers, and temporary housing. They wanted it back plus damages. Step 5. Contractor liens, December 8th. Kitchen remodeling contractor filed mechanics lien on Rachel's primary residence for $40,000. Materials were purchased, non-refundable. He wanted payment. Step 6. Broker consequences, December 10th. Rachel's real estate broker suspended her listing and opened investigation. If Rachel's documents were fraudulent, broker's errors and omissions insurance wouldn't cover liability. They added Rachel as defendant to buyer's lawsuit. Step 7. Criminal investigation opens, December 12th. District attorney reviewed fraud reports. Assigned investigator. Scheduled interview with Rachel for January 15th. Penalties for real estate fraud. Up to 6 years prison, $500,000 fine. Step 8. Civil lawsuit filed, December 15th. I filed civil suit against Rachel for attempted theft, fraud, emotional distress. Seeking $200,000 damages plus legal fees. Step 9. Asset freeze, December 18th. Judge granted preliminary injunction freezing Rachel's bank accounts pending litigation outcome. She couldn't hide money or transfer assets. Each step happened exactly as it was supposed to. The systems worked. Documentation mattered. Truth had weight in legal proceedings. Every dramatic family story teaches that justice is emotional catharsis. Real justice is procedural. Boring. Methodical. Devastating. Christmas came. I didn't attend family gathering. Mom called twice. I didn't answer. Rachel's lawyer called offering settlement. I forwarded the email to David without responding. The cabin sat quiet in winter snow. I drove up alone on Christmas Eve with Pilot, the rescue dog I'd adopted after Dad died. We stayed 3 days. No phone service. No family drama. Just silence and wood smoke in the mountains Dad had loved. I thought about what he'd said that day in the lawyer's office. You showed up. It hadn't felt heroic at the time. It felt like showing up was the minimum requirement for being human. But I'd learned that for some people minimums are aspirational. The mechanical valve in my metaphorical thinking clicked with understanding. Tick tick tick. Dad built systems to protect me. Sandra executed them. David enforced them. Uncle Jim supported them. The people who owed me nothing gave me everything. 6 months later. The legal settlements came in waves. March. Rachel pled no contest to fraud charges. Received 2 years probation, 200 hours community service, $85,000 restitution to buyers and contractor. Criminal record permanent. April. Civil lawsuit settled. Rachel paid $150,000 plus my legal fees. Money came from sale of her house. She'd refinanced to pay the contractor, then couldn't make payments after accounts were frozen. She and her husband moved to an apartment. May. Real estate commission suspended Rachel's broker's license pending 3-year review. Multiple complaints filed. Career effectively over. June. Mom sent letter asking me to move past this, and remember we're family. I didn't respond. Uncle Jim told me later that Mom had known about Rachel's plan, had actively helped prepare documents, had assumed I wouldn't fight back. She'd miscalculated. I spent June at the cabin. Pilot loved the trails. I renovated the master bedroom, updated the kitchen Dad had built in 1998, added solar panels. The place Dad built for family peace became my sanctuary from family chaos. July brought the final settlement. Rachel's portion of Dad's life insurance, held in probation monitored account, would pay remaining restitution and legal fees. After that she'd be financially rebuilt from zero. At 42. Because she'd tried to steal my inheritance. I thought about the ghost ledger's final entry. Entry. Sister's complete financial and legal destruction. Cost to me nothing. Cost to her everything. Status. Account balanced closed permanently. It's January now. 14 months since that Thanksgiving dinner. I'm writing this from the cabin's deck watching January snow fall on pine trees. Pilot's asleep by the fire inside. The title to this property sits in my safe, free and clear, my name alone. Sandra Whitmore came up for lunch last week. We've become friends. She brought wine and stories about other title fraud cases. Apparently mine was refreshingly well documented. We talked about her daughter's college applications and my plans to maybe rent the cabin as writer's retreat space. Uncle Jim visits monthly. He's teaching me fly fishing on Clearwater Creek. He told me Rachel asked him for money last month. He declined. I haven't spoken to Mom or Rachel in over a year. No texts. No calls. No birthday cards. The silence is not hostile. It's not angry. It's just absent. Like they're people who once existed in my life and now don't. People ask if I feel guilty. I don't. Guilt would require wrongdoing. I documented what I owned, protected what was mine, enforced legal consequences for fraud. That's not cruelty. That's self-preservation. Dad's letter is framed in the cabin living room now. They'll tell you I forgot. Don't believe them. I knew exactly what I was doing. He did. And so did I. The cabin stands on Clearwater Ridge exactly as Dad built it. Sturdy. Quiet. Protected. Not because families are supposed to protect each other, but because one person cared enough to build systems stronger than blood. Rachel wanted to destroy something. Instead she proved its worth. There is no place for her in my world anymore. My future begins from the fortress my father fought to protect. The cabin is mine. The silence is mine. The peace is mine. Finally.